Well, hey, thanks, Brandon, for joining us on Mixing Materials. I apologize, we don't have a fern here on our set. Next time, I hope next time you come sit in, we'll be a little more prepared. We'll have leather Barca loungers.
Absolutely.
A fern.
A mug with a nice cold drink in it.
Absolutely. Maybe some hot wings.
Oh, even better, right?
Very good. Well, hey, I'm sitting here with Brandon Millar, the the Director of Technical Services for the California Asphalt Pavement Association. Well, welcome, Brandon.
Thank you very much, Dan.
We're going to talk about changes to the California specifications. It's October of 2025. Last year, the post-plant gradation was implemented.
Yep. And
now you have rubberized asphalt with recycled asphalt included coming up. And then you just told me, and I didn't know this, that statistical pay adjustments, now being called PWL, or percent within limit, are on the docket as well.
Yes, yeah, it's an exciting time for Caltrans right now. For those agencies that use the Caltrans standard specifications, Caltrans moved to this annual publishing of their spec book. And in fact, their latest version of the 2025 standard specs was just released. It's available on their website, and it includes a lot of those changes. The nice thing is for 2025, there aren't a significant amount of changes to the Section 39, which handles our hot mix asphalt.
I see.
The big one was post-plant gradation, which came in 2024. But it is an exciting time because there's a lot of changes happening in our industry, in our technologies that we use to build our roadways with asphalt mixtures. And, we're seeing more use of RAP. So Caltrans is conducting more research and utilizing higher percentages of RAP in all of their mixtures. And also looking at recycled shingles. And I think you mentioned about finally looking at putting RAP in our asphalt rubber mixes. And, with all the asphalt rubber mixtures that they're using for surfacing all of the state highways, that's going to be a really good way for the sustainability of our product and ensuring that we have material moving forward to address our needs.
People generally associate rubberized asphalt with Arizona as, that's the rubberized asphalt. But, maybe you have some statistics about rubberized asphalt usage in California, because I think it might be the largest producer or consumer of ground tire rubber in the U.S. is California.
Yeah, we're fortunate in California because to really make asphalt rubber a desirable and an effective product to use on our roadways, we need to use a lot of it. And we have adoption not just by Caltrans through their, it was legislatively mandated back in the 2000s, but now they use it on all of their surfacing for their roadways. A lot of local agencies use it, and we have a lot of help from CalRecycle, the state agency that is tasked with helping to promote its use at the local level. And many local agencies throughout the state, especially in Southern California, use that as their primary surfacing. We see that about 2 to 3 million tons of asphalt rubber are used by Caltrans alone. And we know a lot more used by local agencies, probably pushing that number closer to 8 million tons a year, 6 to 8 million tons a year. Arizona actually has from the Arizona DOT perspective, stopped using asphalt rubber. They've moved more towards polymer modified mixes, but still when you look in the Phoenix area, they're still using a lot. So by far across the country, California uses the most asphalt rubber of any other state. And we're fortunate that we have an industry that has learned how to produce it and be very efficient in how they build their roads with asphalt rubber.
Okay, well, that's interesting to know. I didn't know that Arizona had transitioned away from asphalt rubber to probably like a HIMA, like a highly modified asphalt. That was a big topic of discussion at AAPT earlier this year. So let's transition a little bit to just California. That's where our home state is. You are the technical director for the California Asphalt Pavement Association. So you have all of these changes coming. What's really driving this pace of change? Because Caltrans hasn't moved this quickly on specification changes in a while.
Yeah, it's actually interesting when you look at the history of Caltrans and their specifications. We were involved in the rewrite of Section 39 back in the late 2000s. And at that point, the specification hadn't significantly changed since the early 70s. And then when we look at the changes that have happened from essentially the 2010 standard spec book to the 2025, there's been a lot of changes that Caltrans has implemented. Everything from moving the mix design from Veeam mix designs to the super paved gyratory mix designs. Yep. We've seen incorporating volumetrics, a change in how we assess moisture sensitivity and rut resistance in moving towards the Hamburg or wheel tracking test over the Veeam stabilometer. We've also seen changes in smoothness requirements on our projects, and then also, we're about ready to move forward to some even additional changes in probably the next 5 years, where we'll start to move towards balanced mix design. And I'm sure you've heard about that going on across the country. Balanced mix design, and then also looking at, you mentioned a little bit earlier, moving towards statistical pay adjustments, our percent within limit specification, which will come a little bit sooner. So yes, there is a lot of changes. We've seen that because we recognize that in order for us as an industry and for our owner agencies to really address the sustainability requirements of the materials that we use, the performance requirements, we have to be a little bit more nimble in how we design our mixtures, how we design our pavements, and provide a little bit more openness to try new things, to innovate, and providing that space within our specifications, within our requirements to do that.
Got it. That's interesting you bringing up sustainability, because nationally, sustainability is a huge topic. And we're talking about the asphalt industry, but sustainability is a global issue across industries, across countries. And the asphalt industry is not unique. In fact, they may be a little in front of some industries in terms of sustainability and learning how to do things. So it's nice to see Caltrans as part of that effort. When I was growing up in the industry, somebody gave me an analogy about a recycled mix. They said, why would I buy a recycled mix when I can buy a new mix and it's the same price? He said, it's like buying a used car. Why would I buy a used car when I can get a new car for the same price? And the answer very clearly is sustainability. And everything you just mentioned, we're not going to give up any sort of performance. We're going to maintain equal or better performance, and we're going to start to reuse the products that we have, lowering our impact on the environment and so on. So is that a fair assessment of kind of how we're going?
Absolutely. And I think when you look at the sustainability, sustainability really is a local issue. And when we look at California, what are the primary components of our asphalt mixtures? It's asphalt binder, it's aggregate, right? Those are the two main components. And the reality here in California is we're not opening up new aggregate pits. And the aggregate pits that we currently have, they're being used up.
Depleted, yeah.
So we're depleting our aggregate reserves. We have, when we look at our asphalt binders, they're being engineered for our product now. They're no longer the waste product that we always historically have dealt with. They are an engineered product, and they compete within a refinery against making fuel oils, fuels, diesel, all of those other products that come out of a refinery. So so for us to ensure that we have a performing material, we have to look at all different types of materials that we can utilize in our roadway infrastructure. And that is, one of the best ones is the existing roads that we have, and going back to those roads and using the aggregates and the asphalt that are already in them to make the new roads.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I don't know if people know this, but the term bottom of the barrel describes asphalt. You take a barrel of crude oil, you run it through a refinery, and what was at the bottom of the barrel is what was left over, which was asphalt.
And innovations in the refining process, they are able, the refiners are able to take that bottom of the barrel and extract every ounce of
gasoline,
fuel out of
oils,
everything. Yeah. And so there is no bottom of the barrel anymore. But the other part is from an industry, we're not stuck with the bottom of the barrel. We are looking at how do we engineer the binders to ensure that we get the performance of the from our pavements, so that they work in our pavements more efficiently, effectively, to address, what are our failure points of our failure modes for our pavements? Is it going to be from traffic loading and rutting, or are we going to look at maybe it's environmental factors that cause cracking? Right, thermal cracking, like we see up in the mountains. When people are going to go ski, and you see these giant cracks going across the road.
Yeah.
It's how do we address those as well as the rutting and the fatigue cracking we get from the loading. So those take different types of engineered materials to do that, and we're fortunate to have an industry that can rise to the occasion and meet those demands.
Yeah, I mean, organizations like yourself, your members, the University of California Pavement Research Center. There's lots of people all working on this issue. So you said that the post-plant gradation was implemented, that change was implemented by Caltrans in 2024. How did it go? Like that implementation, because that's a big change for people in California. So how do you think that transition went over this construction season?
Well, I think it is still going on. I think that's the one thing with an organization as large as Caltrans, when they say go, let's start now on everything. There is several years to actually transition, the transition period. I think we're seeing some pretty good positive things coming from it. I think the work group that put it together, they did a pretty good job of getting something set up to go into the specification, but we've already identified some issues that we have to deal with, and those are already being addressed within Caltrans and the spec writers to deal with that. I think the bigger one is transition, and it has to do with how do we manage existing job mix formulas that were created under the cold feed methodology for aggregate acceptance, gradation acceptance, and then now with the new post-plant gradation, and how do we manage the job mix formula side of things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the California Asphalt Pavement Association, you guys have a lot of resources to help people in these transitions. Can you talk a little bit about what those things are and how someone might, prepare themselves for these transitions as they're coming, deal with maybe some of the, I don't want to say issues, but just that things never go as smooth as you would hope.
Yeah, and I think that's where when we look at who we are as an association, we are a community. We are a community of practitioners for our asphalt pavement infrastructure. And one of the focal points of this is making sure that people understand the technical aspects of our asphalt pavements and how they can actually improve what they do, how they do it, and for new individuals coming into our industry, they can learn about it. Last week we had our Asphalt Pavement 101 course with Roger Smith, and he went over the asphalt pavements from the beginning, how the pavements are designed, the materials we use, how the mixes are produced, how the mixes are laid down, and then how we maintain the roads after they've been in service. And so we provide those types of training opportunities for them. But it's also a community where when we come together, whether it's at a technical committee meeting, whether it's one of our conferences throughout the state, if we have a workshop, and even just in our interactions in the different specification working groups from across the state, We provide those opportunities for the practitioners to meet one-on-one with each other and share their experiences, share their knowledge, and then figure out what we can do to make things better. And I think that's really where we focus as an organization.
I see. Do you get a lot of participation from local agencies at these events?
Yeah, at the events, absolutely. We have our spring conference, which is coming up this March, and we're very fortunate to have our local agency partners join us, Caltrans partners, both from headquarters and the local districts. They'll attend as well. So it brings everyone together. And the other thing that we are active in is not just with Caltrans. We're active in the Green Book standard specification development, where we have a lot of local agency interaction. Next week, we're going to be meeting with in the county of San Diego for their Building Better Roads, which is a nice working technical group between city, county, other local agencies, and the industry within the San Diego region. So we have these different opportunities where we can bring those asphalt stakeholders as practitioners together in the same room and talk about asphalt technology, talk about what's working and what's not working and what we can do to improve our asphalt pavements.
Got it. Yeah, I think from people outside of California, it's a huge state, right? San Diego, you talked about San Diego County, and
yes.
You talked about the American Public Works Association Green Book specification,
yes.
which is only Southern California.
Yes.
And then Northern California, it's a collection of agencies. So there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen.
Oh, absolutely. I think when we look at the Green Book, that was one of those to the need for local agencies to have an underground specifications. How do they deal with water lines, sewer lines, and the repairing of the roadway infrastructure after that? And Caltrans doesn't have that. And so they, with the help of APWA and all the local agencies, they created that spec. In Northern California, the primary paving specification is the Caltrans specs for local agencies.
Yes.
Now, what we're starting to see is that Caltrans has focused their specification for asphalt pavements on highway construction. And really, when they start to look at highway construction, the main distress mode that they're dealing with is rutting and fatigue cracking.
Yeah.
From the heavy loads, the trucks, the heavy traffic loading. And for many local agencies, just think about everyone in their street that they live on, they don't get those types of loading on those streets. And they have a different distress mode that they have to deal with. And so that's where we start to see organizations like the City and County Pavement Improvement Center, which is operated out of the UC Pavement Research Center at Davis, where they help provide guidance for local agencies on and provide specifications for local agencies to deal with their needs, focus on the local agency, rural roads, low volume residential streets, collectors, and we start to see that with their local government specification for asphalt pavements.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So all of these groups and agencies, is there a single spot that somebody can go to actually find links to the local agency consortium here in Northern California, the Green Book, APWA in Southern California? Yeah,
and so they all work differently. We're fortunate at the California Asphalt Pavement Association that we have our own website at calapa.net, and we like to provide those types of resources. Either reach out to myself or our executive director, Russell Snyder, and we typically have those on our website, but there's also changes. We've seen Caltrans just revamp their contractor site, so we're working on updating all of that. But yes, we have links on our website, and then we also provide any information if someone's having a hard time finding it.
Great. The pace of change isn't limited to the actual specifications. The website is also changing really quickly.
And then that's the other part is when you look at something like Caltrans, it's not just the specifications, it's the plans, it's the construction manual, it's the design manual, and that's one of our roles is to assist in people understanding what what changes are in all of those, and also monitoring for those changes and being part of those changes so that we can ensure that the industry is prepared for once those are implemented.
Got it. So can we switch gears a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
And talk a little bit, maybe at a more personal level.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's the beauty of mixing materials. So we do talk about interesting things that people need to know, but we also want to get to know Brandon Millar, the Director of Technical Services, and your role. So maybe can I ask, if CalAPA had a theme song, what would it be?
Well, I don't know, because if you ask Russell Snyder, our executive director, it would definitely be a Rolling Stones song.
It would definitely be a Rolling Stones.
Definitely be Rolling Stones. You know, all right, I'm going to be a little nerdy here. So there were two. When I was looking at it, and I really enjoy going on road trips.
Okay.
And, you know, I think, you know, you and I go back a bit, and
We do.
And as our kids have grown up, we've had all sorts of different activities and fun things we do with them. And one of the things that I love to do was take my daughter on road trips on the Mother Road, Route 66, right? So when I think of that theme song, I think of getting your kicks on Route 66. And not only is that really, you know, that's because my daughter and I, we enjoyed our trips on it, to the point where she went to school in Flagstaff right there on the Mother Road, and she graduated, and she's still living there, you know? And so that's, she's all, thank you, Dad, for showing me around, you know, the Southwest along the route. And it's become a thing for her. And not only that, but we're on the beginning of a really big celebration in this country, a really celebration in the Southwest, and that's this Route 66 is turning 100 next year.
Oh, wow.
And
I didn't know that.
So we have a lot of things to celebrate. You know, it's the idea of, we work in an industry for asphalt pavement and our infrastructure that is just so, most people don't really appreciate what our roads do for our communities. You know, moving people, moving goods, being able to explore this great country, right? And Route 66 is just one of those that have really focused on a road. That's all it is. It's a road that goes from Chicago to Los Angeles, and it's still there today, and people still make treks from all over the world to travel it. And next year we're celebrating 100 years, and yeah, that's so. Let's get back to the question you asked. Get your kicks on Route 66.
Got it. Do you and your daughter have plans to celebrate the centennial of Route 66?
We do. We were actually talking about, because our next year's SAPA meeting, our State Asphalt Pavement Association meeting, so it's really where our colleagues from our association from across the country meet, is in Chicago in August. And so we actually talked about, hey, why don't, you know, if I'm in Chicago, why don't you come up to Chicago, and then we'll drive all the way back to, so at least drive you back to Flagstaff all along the route, right?
There you go.
And then I'll continue on to LA and then back up to Sacramento. So yes, we have talked about that.
Very cool. What's something about your job that would surprise people? Something most people don't think or realize about being the technical director of CalAPA.
I think one of the that would surprise people, I think it's how much we actually do throughout the industry, especially with our association. Our association, there's only 3.5 of us, and I say half because Jackie's part-time. But we have Sophie in our office, Russell's our exec, and I'm the technical. And so I'm the director of technical services, but at the same time, I'm getting involved in the legislative side. I'm getting involved in the environmental side, obviously the technical side, and what most people will see when we have events and everything, that I'm the IT guy as well, right? So I'm handling. So I think that you know, we're not just focused. I'm not just focused on specifications and training and best practices. It's everything, and it's even event planning. So Sophie and I will figure out what hotels are we going to have our events
Yep.
at, meeting with what's our menu planning, right?
Yep.
What are we going to serve for lunch, right? And that usually comes down to me and Sophie figuring out what do people want to eat.
Yep.
So yeah, there's a lot more to it, especially at our association. We have our summer meeting up at Incline Village.
Yeah,
You know, and the one thing that Sophie and I had fun with on that one is we looked at the menu and we said, let's go fancy. We start looking at steaks and lobsters and all that fun stuff and it turns out to be actually a fun to be able to select those over just the regular hotel chicken.
Yeah. So you said it earlier, you and I have gone back, like we've known each other for a while.
Yeah.
And you're sitting here for this interview, so you can take me off the list of this next question. So you've been around industry for a while. Like, who do you really want to spend time with? Either that you've known or you haven't known. And what would you like to do with that person?
Oh, that's interesting.
Like I said, we've played golf together. We're sitting here in this interview, so check that box.
Yeah.
Who else would you have?
Thank you, Dan.
No problem.
I will say, we recently lost a behemoth in our industry, which was Carl Monesmith.
Uh-huh.
And you had the fortune to interact with him quite a bit. And,
I did.
And I did as well. And he was one of those that had so much knowledge and experience, and being able to spend time with him, you can never get enough, and you always learn something new with him. And so that's, he's one that I would definitely, I always looked forward to interacting with him, and I was fortunate to tell him that too,
Mm-hmm.
and so he's someone that definitely we miss in our industry, and I would always love to have an opportunity to sit across from him again and have conversations.
So would you have a conversation with him? Would you guys go to coffee? Would you play a round of golf? What would you do?
Oh, no. It would just be sitting
sitting
in an office, right? And just talking about.
Would he have his double-breasted suit on or off? Jacket on?
Maybe he'd have his jacket on, with his tie. Yeah. And I think the part about it is he just had that. He just did not hold back. He told it like it was, and I appreciated that. When I look at, and I think that's the beauty of our industry, is we have so many great people who've been around. And I think that's the other part. We talked about, how do people get to prepare for change. And a lot of it is having the opportunity to meet face to face with people, the in-person events that we value and we cherish so much, because we're able to sit across from people who have been there, they've done it, and they can share how to be more efficient, or give us ideas on how we can be better at what we do. We just had our contractor dinner a couple weeks ago down in Los Angeles, in Pico Rivera at the Del Rey, classic steakhouse that the industry has been having meetings there for decades. And we honored a great in the asphalt binder world, Juan Forster. Mm-hmm. And Len Naraki came out for him from, going back to the Huntway days. And, being able to sit across and have conversations with them today, it's invaluable. And that's the one thing that for anyone coming into our industry, it's making sure that they understand that they have a lot to learn from these people. And the beauty is that the people who've been there before, who are still with us, are more than happy to share their experience and their knowledge. And so just take them up on it.
Yeah. Well, you said it, this industry is full of people who are they're really genuine people. They're good people, smart, knowledgeable. And I would add you to the list. That's why we asked you to be on the Mixing Materials podcast. So thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
That's one of the things that we want to do, is get to know the interesting people that drive industry. So thank you. Do you have any other questions or comments for me before we wrap up?
No, I appreciate that, our friendship we've had over the years, and we've seen gone through a lot together. So you are definitely someone that that is a great in this industry and has done a lot to help move our industry forward, and especially help the next generation of engineers. There was a time where you and I, we were the young ones in the room, right? And
That's right.
And looking up at these greats, and now we sit in a room and we're like, oh, where'd everyone go?
Yeah.
But the beauty is that there's so many really talented and energetic engineers that are coming up in our industry, and anything that I know that I can do, and you feel the same way, that you can do to help them to continue this journey we are at, ensuring that our communities have that transportation infrastructure in place so they can thrive. That's what we're here for.
I couldn't agree more. Thank you, Brandon. It's
Thank
always
you.
a pleasure.
Always.